So welcome back to our YouTube series in which we are decoding UPSC Prelims PYQs from 1979 to 2024. So it is basically we are solving theme-wise question from 1979 to 2024. Here we will be solving important theme-wise questions based on important topics. We have solved preamble, fundamental rights, and today we'll be solving DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. We'll see how many questions has been asked from 1979 to 2024. We'll be covering this from 2024 towards 1979. So let's start. So today's topic is Directive Principles of State Policy. The first question was asked in 2021. If you want to solve questions about Directive Principles of State Policy, you should know some facts about DPSP. So let's write some fact about DPSP. Fine. It is a guidelines given to state. It is guideline given to state to make policies based on those directive principles. Right. Second, it is non-enforceable. Unlike fundamental rights, which are enforceable, where your fundamental rights, when it is getting violated, you can directly approach courts. Directive principles के case में you cannot approach courts. It is non-enforceable. It is in Part 4 of Indian Constitution. Part 4 of Indian Constitution. But here are some of the facts, very basic facts about DPSP. And lastly, it covers from Article 36 to Article 51. Now, when we will solve question, we will see that इतने article 36 to 51 में there are some articles which UPSC के favorites हैं, जो UPSC बार बार पूछती है. Some of its favorite article relate to Article 38, Article 39, Article 51, and sometimes Article 50 also. And there are some articles which are favorite for UPSC. And one more thing, the DPSP can be classified into different principles, like we have Gandhian principles based on Gandhian ideology, we have liberal intellectual principles, and we have socialist principles. These three principles, Gandhian, liberal intellectual, and socialist principles, together make up DPSP, which is Article 36 to Article 51. So let's start. When we talk about this question, under the Indian Constitution, concentration of the wealth violates. So the answer is DPSP because rights nahi hai for sure. Okay? And here in Article 39, remember Article 39 is a favorite of UPSC. Right? It is asking again and again. Article 38 and 39 both are very important for you regarding UPSC prelims. बार बार वो पूछता है. So here Article 39 says that there should not be any kind of economic system which should promote concentration of wealth. So here, as we can see the solution, that Article 39 says that the operation of economic system does not result in concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment. Fine. This is the line. यहाँ से you are getting that concentration of wealth. यहाँ से answer आ रहा है. Fine. Now UPSC is also focusing on Article 39 का. It was at Article 39 subclause C. ठीक है. UPSC का एक और favorite है, which is Article 39 subclause D, that there should be equal pay for equal work for both men and women. State shall strive for that. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. ये भी UPSC का favorite है, ये भी UPSC का favorite है. Just know this. Fine. Let's move forward. Question number 2. Which one of the following factors constitutes the best safeguard of liberty in a liberal democracy? It was asked in 2021. There are 4 options: committed judiciary, centralization of powers, elected governments, and separation of powers. When you talk about best safeguard of liberty, यहाँ there can be confusion during prelims pressure time. किसमें A और D में ज़्यादा confusion हो सकता है, because generally when we talk about any kind of liberty and its safeguard, generally judiciary mind में आता है, judiciary protect कर रहा होगा, क्योंकि judiciary is your protector of fundamental rights. ठीक है. तो fundamental rights में ही liberty एक trait है या बहुत बड़ा value है, right? So you may confuse between judiciary, but here a committed judiciary is not the answer. Fine. Best safeguard of liberty in a liberal democracy पूछा हुआ है. ठीक है. So let's eliminate some options and reach to our answer. When you talk about a committed judiciary, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि अगर committed judiciary हो तो आपका best safeguard of liberty उससे आ रहा हो. Got it? Second, centralization of power. When there is centralization of power, it is not necessary that it would safeguard your liberty, because centralization goes against the concept of liberty. हो सकता है centralization of power से liberty curtail हो रही हो. Same goes with elected government. When there is elected majoritarian government, it may lead to curtail of liberties. The right answer here is separation of power. It is a separation of power between three organs of state: legislative, executive, and judiciary. When these three organs work in equilibrium, where there is separation between them, and when there is non-accumulation of power and there is checks and balances between them, it ensures the best safeguard of liberty. नहीं तो क्या होगा? They will encroach each and other domains, and that will actually curtail your liberty in a liberal democracy, because the power or function of legislature is to make laws. The power or executive is to implement those laws, and of judiciary is to correct those laws. अब अगर it will encroach each other's domain, then it will hamper your liberty. So right answer here is D, separation of powers. Fine. Committed judiciary, like it is written that while an independent and impartial judiciary is crucial, judicial commitment alone is very much insufficient to safeguard the liberty if the other branches accumulate excessive power. For example, judiciary अच्छा काम कर रहा है, but there is accumulation of power in executive, for example, ठीक है, by bypassing parliament laws through ordinance, etc. ठीक है, fine. So it can pass any law through ordinance. Executive can pass any law through ordinance. Now it will hamper liberty of a person, because ordinance में जो भी law बन रहा है, ठीक है, the law may contain some provisions which are hampering your liberty. Fine. So committed judiciary is not sufficient to safeguard your liberty. Fine. Now centralization of power, we know it. Then elected government, we know it, not necessary. Fine. The right answer is separation of power. There are some constitutional provisions related to it. Article 50 ये DPSP का पार्ट है, because DPSP कब से आता है? Article 36 से Article 51 में आता है, ठीक है. Article 50 talks about separation of power between judiciary and executive. Got it? India is a parliamentary system where there is partial separation, or there is double membership or cooperation system between legislature and executive, but there should be separation of power between judiciary and executive. तो वो DPSP में लिखा होगा. There are some constitutional provisions like Article 121 and 211, where the judges, conduct of the judges of Supreme Court and High Court cannot be discussed in Parliament or state legislature. Same vice versa, basically. Article 122 and 212 talks about proceedings of the Parliament, जो legislature में होता है, cannot be called into question in any court of law. Fine. And lastly, Article 361, the president or the governor can discharge any duty, and it is not responsible to court for their exercise of working. Next question. Now question number 3, which deals with which part of the Constitution of India declares the ideals of welfare state. This question was asked in 2021. It has 4 options: directive principles of state policy, fundamental rights, preamble, and 7th schedule. If we talk about this question, you should know that अब ये जो हमने डिस्कस किया था कि कुछ आर्टिकल्स यूपीएससी की बहुत हॉट फेवरेट्स हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल आर्टिकल 38 एंड आर्टिकल 39, इन दोनों को रट्टा मार लेना है. फाइन. व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट आइडियल्स ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट, ये आइडियल्स ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट इट इज मेंशन्ड इन आर्टिकल 38. इसके पहले हमने देखा जो क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 विच वाज अगेन आस्क्ड इन 2021. फाइन. इसमें आर्टिकल 39 का इंपॉर्टेंस था, कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ. फाइन. नाउ हियर question number 3, ideal of welfare state, which is explicitly given in article number 38. So here answer is DPSP. Now UPSC can ask again, ठीक है, लेकिन इतना इजी नहीं पूछेगा, अब पूछ चुका, इसके अंदर जाएगा. It will write or it will basically take the sentences from article 38 and वहां से confuse करेगा. Here answer here is A. Fine. See, the state shall strive to promote the welfare of people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social, economic and political shall inform all the institutions of national life. Fine. और आर्टिकल 38 की एक और बात है, the state shall strive to minimize the inequalities in income and endeavor to eliminate inequalities in status, facilities and opportunities. Fine. ये भी अब आगे पूछ सकता है. This is also article 38. Both are article 38. Fine. Okay, I'm writing it again. Article 38, 39. One more, Article 37 you should know, right? Article 50 you should know, and the new articles which was added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act as well as 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, ये पता होना चाहिए. तो अगर इतना कर लिया डीपीएसपी में, इट इज इनफ, बिकॉज यूपीएससी यू विल सी द क्वेश्चंस इसी से पूछ रहा है. लेट्स गो हियर, आंसर इज डीपीएसपी, डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ए. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, क्वेश्चन नंबर 4, विथ रेफरेंस टू प्रोविजंस कंटेन्ड इन पार्ट 4. पार्ट 4 क्या है? डीपीएसपी, डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स इज और आर करेक्ट? When we started this video, we listed some facts, fine, whether it is enforceable or not enforceable. So DPSP is not enforceable. तो देखो दो ऑप्शन है, they shall be enforceable, they shall not be enforceable. तो उसमें से एक ही होगा, ठीक है. only one option can come, right? So it is, you know that it is not enforceable by any court. So 2 is there. तो अगर 2 है तो 1 अपने आप नहीं, ये गलत है, fine. तो 1 is wrong. Now 2 and 3. The principles laid down in this part are to influence the making of laws by state. Yes, it is a guideline. ये भी हमने पढ़ा. It is a guideline given to state in which state makes laws based on these principles. So this is correct. 2 and 3 are correct. Answer is 4. D. It is D, right? A, B, C, D. Answer here is D. ठीक है. The Constitution Article 37. This you should know. Itself says that these principles are fundamental in governance of the country. Now UPSC can ask which articles talks about these directive principles are fundamental in the governance of country. Article 37, 38, 39, 40 करके it can confuse you. ठीक है, तो just remember this. Got it? Question number 5. In India, separation of judiciary from executive is enjoined by. This question was asked in 2021. देखो 2021 में बहुत सारे DPSP का क्वेश्चन है. Fine. ये अभी हमने पढ़ा था, सेपरेशन ऑफ जुडिशरी फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव इज डेल्ट इन आर्टिकल 50. तो आंसर हियर ऑटोमेटिकली बिकम डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी, है ना. देख रहे हो कितना इजी क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है, बहुत इजी, राइट. आंसर हियर इज बी, आर्टिकल 50, डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी. डीपीएसपी आर्टिकल 36 to 51 होता है. आर्टिकल 50 टॉक्स अबाउट सेपरेशन ऑफ जुडिशरी फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव. फाइन. अब दिस इज एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन फॉर यू कैन टेक अ स्क्रीनशॉट हियर. इट ऑल्सो मैंडेट्स दैट सेपरेशन ऑफ जुडिशरी फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव. कौन? सीआरपीसी. ठीक है. नाउ इट हैज चेंज बेसिकली ड्यू टू द कमिंग ऑफ बीएनएस, है ना. क्वेश्चन नंबर 6. अदर देन फंडामेंटल राइट्स, व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पार्ट्स ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रिफ्लेक्ट्स द प्रिंसिपल्स एंड प्रोविजंस ऑफ यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स. ठीक है. कहाँ कब वो आया था? यूडीएचआर इन 1948. नाउ इफ यू रिमेंबर, whenever we talked about solving UPSC questions, we always talked about अगर कोई भी अगर इंटरनेशनल लेवल के कन्वेंशंस और डिक्लेरेशन आते हैं, ऑलवेज गो विद द ब्रॉड ऑप्शन. फाइन. तो इसमें पूछा है अदर देन फंडामेंटल राइट्स व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पार्ट्स ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रिफ्लेक्ट्स द प्रिंसिपल्स एंड प्रोविजंस. इट इज ब्रॉड. ठीक है. एट द वर्ल्ड लेवल पूछा है, तो इट मे हैपन दैट इट मे कंटेन ऑल थिंग्स. बट इट ये प्रीएम्बल तो होगा फॉर श्योर, है ना. सोशलिस्ट, बी सेक्युलर, बी डेमोक्रेटिक, बी रिपब्लिक, बी सॉवरेन, राइट. सॉवरेन, है ना. डीपीएसपी टॉक्स अबाउट ऑल द इकोनॉमिक डेमोक्रेसी एज वेल एज सोशल डेमोक्रेसी. ठीक है. तो ये तो वर्ल्ड लेवल में चाहिए ही, ये भी हो सकता है. नाउ देयर आर सम केसेस जहां ड्यूटी ऑफ सिटीजन भी अप्लाइड होता है. ठीक है. तो इसको भी ले सकते हैं हम लोग. इट हैज आल्सो लिंकेजेस इनडायरेक्ट एंड डायरेक्ट. ठीक है. तो आंसर हियर विल बी 1, 2 and 3. फाइन. यू कैन नॉट डिनाई दैट, राइट. अगर थोड़ा भी लिंकेज है, यू शुड गो फिर. ठीक है. तो ब्रॉड सबसे आंसर है डी, 1, 2, 3. आंसर हियर इज डी. फाइन. प्रीएम्बल टू द यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स मेंशंस अबाउट डिग्निटी ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल. फाइन. और प्रीएम्बल ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या मेंशन करता है? इक्वालिटी ऑफ स्टेटस एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी, एश्योरिंग द डिग्निटी ऑफ इंडिविजुअल एंड यूनिटी एंड इंटीग्रिटी ऑफ इंडिया. फाइन. द आर्टिकल 23 ऑफ यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन, ठीक है, मेंशंस अबाउट राइट टू वर्क. और सिमिलरली आर्टिकल 41 में वो मेंशन्ड है. ठीक है. राइट टू लाइवलीहुड करके. देन आर्टिकल 29 ऑफ यूडीएचआर, यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स, मेंशंस अबाउट ड्यूटीज. अपना कहाँ है? 42nd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज. ठीक है. कमेंट सेक्शन में बताओ दिस फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज वाज टेकन फ्रॉम व्हिच कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. फाइन. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 7. व्हिच पार्ट ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया डिक्लेयर्स द आइडियल ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट. अगेन 2020 का क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है. बहुत इजी आंसर है. ठीक है. ये तीनों है. नाउ टेल मी व्हिच आर्टिकल डिक्लेयर्स द आइडियल ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट. अभी हमने देखा. ठीक है. आर्टिकल 38 मेंशंस अबाउट स्टेट, fine, to ensure there is welfare of its people. है ना. तो आइडियल्स ऑफ वेलफेयर स्टेट कहाँ से आ रहा है? आर्टिकल 38 से. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 8. कंसीडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स with reference to Constitution of India. The directive principles of state policy constitute limitations about this. What are directive principles of state policy? It is a principle or guideline given to state. For state, it is for state कि स्टेट इसके मुताबिक इस प्रिंसिपल्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए पॉलिसीज बनाए, स्कीम्स बनाए. ठीक है, तो उसके ऊपर लिमिटेशंस कैसे हैं? ठीक है, इट इज नॉट एनी लिमिटेशंस, इट इज नॉट पुटिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ लिमिटेशन अपॉन स्टेट. फाइन, कुछ भी लॉ बना सकता है या स्कीम बना सकता है या स्टेट कुछ भी एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर पास कर सकता है. तो इट इज नॉट कंस्टिट्यूटिंग एनी काइंड ऑफ लिमिटेशन अपॉन स्टेट. फाइन, तो स्टेट का कोई लिमिटेशन इससे हिंडर नहीं होता. तो आंसर हियर इज नाइदर वन और टू. बट इट इज नॉट अ लिमिटेशन, इट इज अ बेसिकली एनेबलर, नॉट अ लिमिटेशन. जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस. फंसाने के लिए क्वेश्चन दिया हुआ था. आंसर हियर इज डी. State should keep in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws. These are constitutional instructions or recommendations to the state in legislature, executive and administrative matters. Fine. These are instrument of instructions given to state. ठीक है. Fundamental rights, on the other hand, fundamental rights operates as limitations, right? State cannot take away your fundamental rights without any procedure backed by law. है ना? So these limitations are upon state in the case of fundamental rights. ठीक है, तभी ये violate होता है तो you can approach court, but it is not in the case of directive principles. Question number 9. Which principle among the following was added to the directive principles of state policy by 42nd amendment to the constitution? Now this question was asked in 2017, and remember 42nd amendment to the Indian constitution added 4 DPSPs. These 4 DPSPs which was added by 42nd amendment are important. उसी में से पूछा है. Got it? Some of them are, okay, all 4 of them are Article 39, Article 39A, Article 48A and Article 43A. Fine. When we talk about Article 39, it talks about opportunity for the healthy development of children. When you talk about Article 39A, it talks about free legal aid to weaker sections. When you talk about Article 48A, it talks about protection of environment and wildlife. When you talk about Article 43A, it talks about securing the participation of workers in the management of industries. So, which principle was added by 42nd Amendment? Participation, securing the participation of workers in the management of industries. Here answer automatically becomes B. है ना. अब ये क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. 42nd में एक पूछ लिया है, इट कैन आस्क अगेन इन सम ऑफ द अदर फॉर्म. Got it? The here answer here is B. 42nd amendment added 4 new DPSPs to secure opportunities for the healthy development of children. 39 to promote equal justice and to provide free legal aid to poor. Article 39A. This article is very important. To take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management of industries. ये आपका आंसर था Article 43A. Then to protect and improve the environment and safeguard forests and wildlife, it is Article 48A. So here we complete the first set of DPSP in which we solved 9 questions, and from 2024 to 2017. Stay tuned for another video in which we will be solving from 2017 to 1979.